Hi, everybody. Welcome to Petrova podcast. And today we are talking about Islam. Me and my friend from Kazakhstan, but she is Uyghur, and Uyghur people are also Turkic, and their religion culturally is Islam. So she told me, hey, it's Ramadan. I was like, okay, girl, I support you. I got you, whatever you need. And then she said, I'm going to the mosque. If you want to join me, it's really pretty there. And I will do everything once in my life. And with Islam, I am personally, historically, more close to that religion than to Christianity. And I wanted to talk about Islam, not even because of that, but because it's Ramadan. And it's actually finishing. It's on Friday. And on my podcast, I want to talk about everything and anything. I'm just a generally curious person, and I cannot niche down into something one. You know how there is podcasts that only about dating and relationship, or only about like whatever. I can't niche down. I'm doing podcasts about everything and anything, but I take things more from like a psychological, social understanding type of perspective. So I wouldn't, like with Hailey Bieber, for example, I'd never said like she's wrong or Selena is wrong. I never took sides. I just look at it from the psychological perspective, at the concept of cyberbullying and how it works. And that was, I think, my second episode on the podcast. I think it's a beautiful, like Muslim cultures are beautiful cultures. Islam has a beautiful history, and I would love to learn more. I was the type of person, like, so if we're talking about religion, let me say about my relationship to religion and my experiences with it. So when I was a kid, when I was young and dumb, I learned what atheist and atheism means, and I was like, I'm an atheist. Yeah, I'm an atheist. Like, it makes sense. Atheists believe that God does not exist because everything can be proven by science, kind of thing, or they don't believe in anything. So I was like, yeah, everything can be proved by science. How can God, excuse me, how can God exist? How can God exist if everything can be proven by science? It's old-fashioned mentality is what I thought when I was like 14. I was like, how is it even possible physically for God to exist? It's all like magic. It's fiction is what I thought. But I took it too literally, and then as you grow, you understand that this world and the way it works is more than just science. And science, if we really dig deep into it, can explains only the fraction of the world. And we perceive the world only with a certain perspective and a certain, again, fraction of it, only partially we fully understand. There is so many things that are going behind that we might not know about, might not understand, because it's just outside of our capabilities, outside of our intelligence, because it's way bigger than us, way more than us. We cannot comprehend that physically. Like, there is certain things. I think a good example would be an insect, an ant, a spider. They live in the same world as us, but they cannot understand that we humans are there. They don't comprehend the fact that we are there because they're so little. They live in their own micro world. They don't understand that they see us, that they're living in the same world with us. You know what I mean? So similarly, could be a metaphor for the universe that we cannot solve, cannot understand. It's because it's so much more and bigger than us. We cannot comprehend it physically. It goes over the limit of things that we are physically able to understand with our mind. you know? So when I was young, I was like, I'm an atheist. I also did not understand my ethnic religion, shamanism. Although we practiced it, I just took it as regular things because I never realized that it's part of the my religion, customs and traditions. For example, my mom would feed water, my dad would feed fire when we are in the nature, because our religion is more like philosophy of life. It just says nature gives us and provides us with life. Water gives us hydration, fire let us cook food, like is that nature. Trees, for example, they produce a lot of air. So the philosophy of my religion is that nature, it provides us with life, so we have to do the same for her. We have to provide her with life as well. And we do that by little traditions, and we have big traditions too. The little ones is like feeding nature, feeding the water so the food will decompose and the fish will eat it. Don't throw McDonald's in it, or something. Don't poison, we throw natural food, that will decompose, that will feed the sea world. That's how our religion is, really. And when I was growing up, I never really took it as that's my religion. I never really understood the world outside of my city in general. Internet was not as big back then. It was there. Of course, I would understand some world that's outside of my city. I would watch movies, TV shows, that's American music, but not like now. I know the world definitely. And so basically, I was a person who thought that they know it all. You could say, I hate this type of people. I guess you are scared to be the person that you hate, they say, right? That you hate, I mean. I was the person who thought, we know it all. I was even sometimes arguing with religious people, how can God exist, blah, blah, blah. Oh my God, disgusting behavior, girl. But I was really young. I was 14, 15, even at 16, 17, maybe I started to get into it. Why? Because I thought if religions have been on earth for so long, have been with us for so long, has so many followers, it must be about something. There must be something, right? I said that to myself, and I was figure that out. What is it about? Why are people hooked on it, you could say? Why are people religious? Why people convert? Why people have religions? Read the book. So I read the Bible a little bit. I read the Quran a little bit. I'm gonna say I literally read it briefly. I never owned an actual physical books, so I'm still figuring it out. So me doing this podcast is a way for me to share this experience with you. And I asked these girls. We went to the mosque. We met a Palestinian and Pakistani girl. One is 20 years old, another is 19 years old. And they're about my age, so I'm 21. And I want to catch your attention on the fact that this podcast will be named something Islam and Modern Muslims, because there is a lot of people who talk about Islam, but I want to talk about specifically the experiences of Gen Z Muslims, young Muslims, to give them the platform to do so. And if I talk about religion, a certain religion, I thought it would be more politically correct of me to obviously take an interview from a real Muslim girls, and I did not regret not a second. I love this experience so much. This was my first time taking an interview from someone, so don't criticize my questions too much. I'm gonna be honest, I did not prepare questions properly. I used ChatGPT. And it gave me very weird questions. They were not bad, but that's not the type of questions I want to ask. I wanted more young Gen Z type of questions, They were too formal, too not politically like correct, perhaps. Anyways, whatever. I just didn't like the questions that ChatGPT produced, so I was like, it's fine. I'm just gonna be a true journalist, a true interviewer, and improvise. Well, but I did have, of course, certain ideas on what exactly I want to ask. It's not like I was totally unprepared, but yeah. Well, I hope you enjoy it. And also, excuse me for the possible quality of the background noises, but I don't have professional equipment yet. But it's pretty much all clear, and I love you guys. Hope you enjoyed that interview. Okay. So first, let me just do your introductions. We're at the mosque right now in South Florida, and I met two beautiful girls here. Just introduce yourself. Where are you from, and your names.
Mm-hmm. Okay, hi. My name is Shahid. I'm from Palestine, but we reside down here in Miami.
How old are you?
I'm currently 19 years old.
Hello, my name is Humna, and I'm from Pakistan, and I am 20.
And have you guys been following your religion since birth, or maybe you got closer to the religion as you grow older?
No, I was born Muslim.
Yeah. So I was born Muslim. I mean, it kind of, even though we were born Muslim, you still have to find your way into being Muslim. Like, you have to find that connection with God as you, like, age and, like, get, like, closer in general. But I think every day, like, allows you to, like, find out new things and learn and, like, grow and, like, you know.
Do you think that as you grew older, you started to take it more seriously and became more aware of it?
I think, like, there was a time, like, as we got older in, like, middle school where I kind of, like, lost it. Not lost it per se, but I wasn't as, like, religious and, like, on track as I wanted to be. Like, I knew I wanted to be it, but as I did, like, you know, high school, when I seen, like, more and I got older, I did, like, find my way back. And, like, I'm still trying to be, like, the better person every single day. It's, like, an every single day something.
Is there any specific reason that you realized you need to get back to the religion, perhaps, or?
I think for me it was just a guilt feeling.
Yeah.
And in like middle school it was a lot of like, oh, like I wanted to fit in and I wanted to do this, but like in the back of my head, like it was always like, no, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't, because that's not who I was. So like going into like, and then I think it's also like who you hang out with.
Yes.
And going like as I went to like high school and stuff, I had more like Muslim friends, and then I realized like, okay, like this is who I want to be, not like what I.
And you both grew up in your countries, or you grew up in Miami?
So I grew up in Palestine, and then we came to like here in like America, but I don't think that's. I mean, there has been a huge effect based off of that, because you're so used to everybody around you being Muslim and stuff in that area, and then when you come here, it's like you only get to see it when you come to like the mosque, because it's like not everybody in your class is Muslim, and those that are Muslim don't want to show it sometimes either, because they get like embarrassed that they don't want to fit in.
That's true. So about that, so you experienced certain culture shock probably, like coming from a Muslim country to Miami. And how do you think about the guilt feeling that you guys were talking about? Do you think it's unique only to the Muslim community or to any religion? Do you think where this guilt feeling might be coming from? What do you think about that?
I think to a certain extent, it's like for every religion. It just depends on like how you grew up and how much impact like that religion had in your household. So I don't know. I speak for myself, but I grew up where everybody like. In my household, you know, like we were strict, like my parents were strict Muslims, and we were taught from the beginning, like, this is what you're supposed to be, this is how it is. Like we learned, we had like tutors that like read Quran to us and like helped us read in Arabic and stuff like that ever since I was little. So I was like told that. So I think like because of that was a guilt feeling. But I think because of how close you are spiritually to like your religion, I think that guilt feeling is everywhere.
Yeah.
No matter like what religion it
That's
is.
a good response. I
For
like
me, I think that Islam is just like a way of life.
Yeah.
So the religion, like everything that you do, it's like you have to pray 5 times a day. So you're always recognizing God, or when you have to like read the Quran, or when you're just saying those like the simple things like before you eat, like in the name of God, the most merciful, most kind, or when you're just, it's just like those aspects where you have to do them. So when you consistently surround yourself with it, like me too, like I had a family that was really strict with the religion. Like even now, like they're very like continuously trying to get closer and closer every single day. So it's like I feel like when you realize that so much, like you start to look at yourself and you're like, am I a part of them? Am I not a part of them? Like who am I basically? And then it's like that's when you start to find yourself with that.
So
yeah.
does religion to you a way of life, like a guide for how to live life, how to live a good life, you would say?
100%.
Yeah, most definitely, 110%. Yeah.
And do you think that out of all religions that we have, like Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, do you think that Islam has, on a global picture, more pressure, almost like, or is misunderstood? So, for example, do you experience on a daily life certain experiences that may be unpleasant because of the how media portrays Islam in a certain way, you would say?
So I think that a lot of religions have this problem where you're always going to have like the bad people in the group. Like you have the KKK for Christians, you have Zionists for Jewish people. So it's like
every religion has its radical people that take the religion and put a radical perspective into it, and you cannot define the whole religion because these people took it to the radical extreme way.
So a lot of it is like, since we're like especially in America, like Islam is portrayed because of them like in such an extreme way that like sometimes even if you tell somebody you're Muslim, they're gonna be like, oh my god, like are you okay, are you oppressed? Like I haven't personally felt it because I don't wear the hijab, and like I go outside, like I'm open about my religion, like nobody knows that I'm not Muslim, but that's not the first thing you notice because like everybody like around me is predominantly like they're predominantly Christian, but when you do tell them, like it's an automatic like stereotype that just goes in front of you,
and you can feel that,
and I can feel it because then they'll start being a little bit like wary about like how they talk to us. They'll be like, oh, but did your mom let you do that? Or like, or are you like, how come you're not wearing a hijab? Like that's their thing, but it's like that's not what everything, like that's not everything that we're standing for.
And do you think coming to Miami, you felt like big changes in your casual life, maybe relationship with people around, because you came from a very highly like Muslim place to a very like least Muslim to Miami, you know? If there is any changes, like
Go to
comments.
South Beach.
Oh yeah, no. So I lived in Pakistan. There's no beaches there. If anything, there's mountains and that's it. So that was a very, very hard like boom in my face where I went out and everybody was in bikinis and I was just like, I want to go home. Like the first week I was like, I don't think the beach is for me. Because it was nobody's like out there like that, and even if you go to somewhere that has water, like you're in traditional clothes.
In back home.
So you're not wearing whatever. So I think that was like, wow.
What do you think about that right now after living certain amount of years in Miami?
Oh, I'm cool with it. Like it's fine. Like it's okay. Like my friends are like, I will go to the beach and like they're wearing bikinis and I'm wearing like a tights and a shirt. And I think it's like you just have to.
I think that over the ages you start to realize that this is how they are in a way, so you have to respect it. So it's like you just kind of do your own stuff and they respect you too once you like start to like, you know, let them know that you do respect them.
Don't judge and you will not be judged.
There you go, exactly.
Interesting. And do you think that Middle East because of the 2000s and 9/11 perhaps is misunderstood a lot, and in which ways, and what do you want people to hear now that you have platform to say about that?
Oh, let me say something. Yes, I think the Middle East is really misunderstood. I think that a lot of people, you see these American movies too, you see all of these like oppression and these like war-torn places in these movies when they always have to go to like these like places, you always see those like little girls wearing like the hijab and like running around, and you see just like a bunch of like strict like, you know, just it's just really crazy to me, and I feel like a lot of people get discouraged from it, and they don't actually go and see the beauty of Palestine. They don't go and see like the beauty of Syria. Like, don't get me wrong, there are issues, like there is war in certain places, there are conflicts, like certain areas are not what they used to look like anymore, but then again, I think that that's of course like the actions of not only government but international affairs, but it has ruined the perspective, and I think that again, like people just have to go out and look at it themselves. Like it's literally all about having that perspective and being open-minded. Open-minded is such a like important aspect, because unless you start to actually talk to somebody or learn about those like countries and those regions, you'll never know that beauty, or you'll never see it. So
I love that. I love the response. And
free Palestine.
Free Palestine, exactly. You heard. Period. And do you think so? For me, I feel like I hate to see that like modern Muslims, because I have a lot of Muslim friends, not Muslim myself, but I have a lot of Muslim friends, and I feel like they always like, oh, you eat pork but you drink and you smoke cigarettes, you know, or like you smoke this and that, but you don't eat pork, like, you know. And to me it's like, okay, but there is also Christians who do everything that their religion says not to do, and they still do it, but no one says anything to them, you know. Or like to Buddhists, you know. Do you feel like Muslim people get more almost like pressure to do better, or almost like a judgment from exactly
I feel like it's again passed down, and like I'm not gonna say like that it's like not in other people's religion, but a lot of like Christians are like okay with like having, you know, like a drink, and and it's just so it's like generations just coming down, and the strictness and like the discipline, it just kind of like lowers each generation going down. But for us, like every generation has been like, okay, no, don't do it. Like my parents have already that mentality where it's like this is everything's wrong, so we were just growing up like not doing it, right? But like if we do it, it's kind of like to fit in to the society here. But like people over there, like back home, like that, I don't really think they know what champagne really is or like any of that, because they're not exposed to it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I also think that well,
so this is my friend. She is from Kazakhstan, but she's ethnically Uyghur, and Uyghur people are culturally also Muslim. And yes, Nelly, she's my best friend, and she's been getting closer to Islam as she was growing. So
I just wanted to say that to answer your question, that Muslim people are getting more expectations than other religions, also because partially because of other Muslim people. So other Muslim people are the ones who majority who have expectations on these Muslim people who, let's say, eat pork or drink or smoke, and they are mostly the ones who are saying like you shouldn't do it, because they are the ones who know the rules the most. So I think
so you think like that the Muslim partially
affects
puts that expectation on, it has influence 100%, on these existing expectations,
because they know, right, that there are certain rules, and they are aware of the rules, and they know that you are aware of the rules, so they're trying you to bring closer to the rules, which both of you are aware of. That's why.
So and with the why I want to do this podcast is because initially the modern Muslims have unique experience from the different generations, just like any other generation has their unique experience, and I think it's important to address this so that people don't feel alone, and the modern Muslims that out here getting judged just because they don't eat pork but they're gonna have a drink, but they've been raised in America, for example, you know, so their cultures is mixed, but they still get judged, you know.
So I used to tell my mom about this a lot, actually, and I used to tell her that it's not easy being American and trying to practice your faith. I was like, in this generation especially too, like, you realize it and you see it, and it's like you holding on to your faith is getting like harder every single day. And she'd always tell me no, and that I'm overthinking it, because you also have to think about how it was like in the past when they were discovering Islam too. Like, when you look at the history of Islam, like the Prophet himself, it was a religion with only him believing it at the beginning. It's like, how can you even convince a bunch of these people, like, who didn't even like want to believe that your religion was a thing? They didn't even want to believe that you held like that revelation from God. So it's this word that's called jihad, and a lot of people, when they hear it, they like kind of freak out because they think about like ISIS and like Al-Qaeda. But the word jihad in Arabic basically means struggle, and it's that, you know, being able to struggle and hold on to your faith is what kind of makes you Muslim. Like, when you see all of your friends like dress up with these like crop tops, or when they put on these like you know, just these like outfits that I can't wear out, or it's like when you see them eating like, you know, certain food or having fun and going to the bars and parties, and it's like you have to constrain yourself and you have to like control yourself and tell yourself this. And then again, like, that's what I mean about how Islam, it's like, even though it's that struggle of holding on to it, we still do it because it's that way of life.
That's what makes it the religion, basically. If there was no struggles in life, what's the point of the religion, almost like? And
That's the way of, that's the life also, full of life is like not one line, it's like very has like different direction, like it's not black and white, but it's like gray with different colors,
with 50
ups and
shades of gray
downs.
in between. I didn't mean that. Experience of the modern Muslim might be unique with the other generations, because the world has changed in general very much, and a lot of things has changed in general, and there is a lot of distractions, temptations, you know, that there is more temptations in this modern world in general. And I think with the young Muslims, they just struggle even more than their parents because of that, you know, and their experience because of that is very unique compared to other generations, where they see all these kids on internet drinking, doing all these things that their religion says is haram, but they see all these things that's haram, and they are like, okay, what is it? Why everyone is doing it?
It's like a harder struggle for them, because the world gets not like we're closer to apocalypse, but it gets worse and worse every year. There is more and more sins, and the world is just getting distracted.
I mean, it's a struggle. It's definitely a struggle, and like there are times where you're gonna like make mistakes and you're gonna fall into temptation. Like, and for us, it's like just knowing that you can go back and just repent for it, and if you do it with like a good conscience and a good heart, and you don't go back to like that, you know, you learn from your mistake the first time. Like, for us, Allah is all forgiving, you know. So just, I mean, don't make the mistake the first time, but again, like, it happens. Just, you can repent. You know?
Exactly. That's good. So it's a path. It's a process that will have ups and downs and obstacles, and it's up to you how you're gonna face them, I guess. So this was the bot podcast. You guys let me know what you think. If you wanna share your opinions, your comments, questions, I suggest you to comment it under the Instagram promotional post to this podcast. You will understand and see it right away if you go to my Instagram page at verona.petrova. And I hope you like this episode. I will see you soon. Ciao, cacao. Love you.